Just a couple of things, Judge. First of which is this afternoon, I believe it is, we plan to call Investigator Kurt Sheffs, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, to testify concerning the October 26th interview. As you recall, Judge, that was the interview in which the defendant attempts to commit suicide. At the very end, as you also may recall from opening statement, it's all prior to that is when the defendant asked to go to the bathroom a number of times, the second occasion of which he tells Detective Sheffs that he basically wants him alone to go with him, and at which time there's a conversation where he essentially implores Detective Sheffs to simply engage in a sort of a suicide by cop sort of deal, and when Detective Sheffs asked him, just tell us where the bodies are, and he said he responds to that, I'll never tell you where the bodies are. This has been something that you, I think, had previously ruled on pre-trial with regard to Detective Sheffs' knowledge of the defendant. Of course, we are not going to get into any sort of questioning or answering about the fact that Detective Sheffs knew the defendant due to his gang-related activities and Detective Sheffs' duties within the gang unit of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office. However, I do intend to elicit, ask him questions about the fact that he knew him and for approximately how long. And the reason that I intend to do that is because the defendant sought him out to go to this restroom break alone with him. And I think there may be some question as to why he chose Detective Sheffs versus Sergeant Pagliari. So I think there's a disagreement between us and the defense. I don't think the defense wants us to get into Detective Sheffs' knowledge of the defendant at all. And we understand that there are limits, and I've talked to Detective Sheffs about where those limits are, and we're prepared to abide by those limits. So we still have a disagreement about that, and that needs to be addressed by Your Honor.
To the defendant, I think there's a presumption that if there's prior knowledge of law enforcement of an individual, that knowledge came as a result of police interaction at some point in the past. I have no problem with, the request he makes to speak to a specific police officer, and I have no problem with having the officer, testify that he was summoned to speak with him. But as far as any prior knowledge, I don't know.
Well, and I guess I was a little confused, Your Honor, because I thought you had, when this had been brought up before, you had said that it was okay that questions be asked of him.
I did.
And
I also told you I changed my mind at trial. I did that, didn't I?
And I'm perfectly willing to accept that, Judge. We still had a disagreement
I
about that.
cautioned you guys.
So
Every ruling I did before today was in a vacuum. Now I've heard a lot more.
Right.
And I certainly don't want to push this even 1 inch beyond where it needs to go.
And I'm with you on that, Judge, as well. I think, though, that it puts us in a position where it opens the door potentially for the other side to argue why. Why did they choose Detective Sheffs over Sergeant Pagliari or anyone else to make this admission to? Which is not recorded.
I would leave that up to them. If they want to open the door, that's their prerogative. At the end of the day, I feel more comfortable with saying he asked for an individual officer, and the officer came. That's about the extent of the testimony that ought to come out from his mouth. Whether or not the defendant felt comfortable speaking with him, I think at that point in time, the jury can infer that maybe they met at the house or something. But if the jury gets any sort of hint that it came from another incident or another contact, and that would be prejudicial to the defendant. So,
all right,
that's going to be my ruling. He asked for Shep. Shep came. They're comfortable talking. That's fair.
Very well, sir.
Okay.
The other one was We are prepared, Your Honor, this afternoon to play the interview from the October 26th, as we were just discussing. We went over this with defense counsel, I believe, last Wednesday night, just to make sure everything was good to go in terms of what we were playing for the jury today. There is on page 15 of the transcript. This is toward the tail end of that, and I'll bring it up to you, Judge. It's
I'll
on
have to
line,
see it, yeah.
line 50, and I'll need this copy back.
Is there a dispute? Is that what it is?
There's a line in there where they're having a conversation about.
Where am I reading?
It's on the page that I gave you, Judge, at the very bottom, line 50.
Line 50?
Yes, sir.
Starting
You'll
at
need to
50?
read it before that to kind of get a bit of a context.
Give me a sec so I know what
Yes.
you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. As you can see.
It's the line, it'll be 15 to 20 years before they kill me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that should come out.
Okay. Very well.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can do this off the record, right? Okay. What are we looking at? Since you're not calling that witness, the state, that would put us on track to finish maybe tomorrow or Wednesday?
Hopefully tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, but hopefully tomorrow. We've got some recordings today. We've got about 6 or 7 witnesses left. We've got some recordings today and then a long reading of text messages tomorrow.
Okay. And then we told Mr. Jackson to be here Wednesday, and his arrangements to fly out are okay? All right, and then that would take you like Wednesday, Thursday, you think, possibly? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Okay. If such were to be the case, then my goal would be to do closing arguments Thursday. And we will do a charge conference before then. We might stay late one night to do that, just us, and then give it to the jury on Friday. So. Okay, I'll take it one step further. If they come back guilty of first, then my inclination would be to start on Tuesday or Wednesday, which you prefer. It will not be any later than Wednesday. Can't be.
Judge, I think probably from a state perspective, Wednesday would be better, just because we still need to depose their experts and have the defendant evaluated in the event that we get there.
But you have how many days of presentation?
Probably 2 at the most, but I would guess closer to 1.
I would love to try to finish it before Friday.
Yes, sir.
I was inclined to work a Saturday, and the choices are this Saturday or next Saturday. So maybe it'll be next Saturday will be more more likely to be the one that we will work.
Okay. And like
And
I
in
said,
that
we'll-
one, I would let you do closing arguments and charge the jury and send them out on the same day.
Okay.
I'm not going to split it like I'm doing in the guilt phase. Okay?
Okay.
All right, well,
We have,
Fine.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
find out from Pete if we have a jury. Action. Yeah,
We have one other issue on the record for text
Okay.
messages that we need to work on.
let's go back. Yeah,
If you can see the screen, Mr. Nielsen is asking for lines 39, 40, and 41 on the spreadsheet to be removed. These are the text messages between Jasenia Suarez and Kevin Dredden as it relates to their affair
I can't
on the
read
morning
it
of
from here.
October 22nd. We have a printed copy.
What line were 29?
The highlighted portion on his,
Did we hear from Pete? Oh, we're ready?
yes, sir.
Bring the jury in, Pete. Thank you. Pete's like a mouse. Got to put a bell on him. All right, thank you. Everyone may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have to stand up, otherwise I can't see you through here. Did anyone have any exposure to the case while you were away from the courtroom? Anyone read anything about it? Anyone talk to you about the case? Anyone do any research independent of what's going on in the courtroom? All right, thank you. State, you may proceed.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you introduce yourself to us again, please?
I'm Sergeant Albert J. Pagliari III.
And on Thursday afternoon when we took a break, we were watching the October 24th recorded interview. Is that correct?
That is correct.
We were approximately an hour and 16 minutes into that recording, and we were on page 63. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Page 63 of your transcript that you have. Counsel, you want me to read the instructions again, or? Give me 1 second. I have to pull it up. I know I gave you these instructions before, but given that it's been a 3-day weekend, I'll reread it for you. You're about to hear recorded conversations. These recorded conversations are proper evidence and may be considered by you as any other evidence. You're also being furnished transcripts of the recorded conversations. The recordings are the evidence, and the transcripts are provided to you only as a guide to help you follow and listen to the recordings. The transcripts are not evidence of what was actually said. If you notice any difference between what you hear on the recording and what you read in the transcript, you must rely on what you hear and not on what you read. That's one. Now, what you hear in the recorded interview, which includes an interview of the defendant, that may contain opinions and statements made by law enforcement to the defendant. These opinions and statements are pertinent only to explain the reactions and responses they elicit. You are not to consider these opinions and statements by the police officers as true, but only to establish the context of the defendant's reactions and responses. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have these guys. I have under second. All right. One more clear first. You guys want to make sure it's clear?
How's it going? Where are the other guys at, sir?
Somebody used the restroom.
Okay. Was AJ escorting him? Okay. Come on, bud. Can't spot you. She's been here at night.
You getting more water? A little bit?
Beautiful people, man.
You all right? It's been a long morning. We've been doing this a while. This morning, some
And you read your rights earlier. You recall us reading your rights?
Yes.
Recall us going through each and individual right?
Yes.
Okay. What's usually customary for us is that when we take breaks like that, that we want to continue to talk to you about some more things, maybe recap a couple of things. What we do is I read you through them again, just to make sure that you're clear with everything. Okay? Give me a second. Let me get my card out. Same protocol as before. I'm gonna go keep reading them and ask you if you understand, so on and so forth. Okay? Kill that. I'll turn it back on in a second. These are your rights. You have the right to remain silent, and anything you say may be used as evidence against you. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to talk to an attorney and have him or her with you now or any time during questioning. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to represent you. Do you understand?
Yes.
If at any time you wish to stop talking or have an attorney present, all questioning will be stopped at your request. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
With these rights in mind, are you willing to talk to me?
Yes.
Let me be honest with you, Simone. I heard the story that you told me at the beginning, and I had to step out of the room for a little bit. I don't usually get connected. I try not to. I've got to be as impartial as possible. I want to ask you again. I don't want you to have to relive it, but I need you to. Okay? I need you to tell me what happened yesterday, 2 days ago. I want you to pick it up from when you left, came back, and saw Tayshawn outside your house. Can we go through that again? Please.
I told you I saw him when I pulled up. I was out there, and he came out to the front of his house, and I saw him start flashlighting my lights or whatever. And he's like, "How do you know you was out here?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'm going through it right now, you know, with my wife or whatever." You know, we just had this small talk. And I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Nothing, man. You want to jump on some PS3 or whatever?" I was like, "Yeah, you know." So we went in, and I went to the room, and I turned on the light.
What room?
My room.
Okay.
That's the bedroom. I turned on the light. And my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going to come hang out and play PS3. I was pissed, you know, I was trying to get upset." So she said, no, you fucking not. And that's what she said. So, and she said, "Who's here?" I was like, "Tayshawn." She said, "You and him." I was like, "Where's that motherfucker? You get the fuck out." I said, "I'm not going anywhere. This is my house too, you know?" But she said, "I'm not playing with you. I'm going to give you 5 seconds for both of y'all to get the hell out of here." So then Tayshawn was about to leave, and I was like, "Bro, don't worry about it. You don't go nowhere. I'll pull the PlayStation out to the living room." And she was like, "No, you're not going to play the game. You're not going to play the game at all." So she said, "You think I'm playing with you?" And I was like, "I don't care what you say right now. You don't give me the respect that I need to sit here and try to, you know, confront your situation. You want to keep denying it, so I'm not going to give you the respect that you need either." So when she came at me, she started jumping on me and shit. She kept hitting me, and you know, I kept like, you know, kind of like you know, I would grab her and move out the way, you know, because every time she, you know, swing on me or whatever, you know, I know how to, you know, deflect, you know. And so I was like, yeah, all right. You know, I turned around, she latched on me or whatever. And, you know, she just started like, you know, hit me, you know, with those, you know, she hit my wife. You know, her hits don't cause any damage to me, you know. So, and she was hitting me or whatever, and then that's when she hit me in my glasses or whatever, and hit me in my glasses.
The ones you're wearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, my other ones.
Is that where the marks came from?
Yeah, not these, the other ones, the metal ones.
These metal ones, you left them at the house?
They're, yeah, they're in the car.
They're in your car?
Yeah.
Okay. So she hit you when you're wearing your glasses?
Yeah.
Where's Tayshawn during this whole thing?
He was right there.
In the living room?
He's seen her, like, plenty of times, like, whack me or curse out at me or whatever, and things like that. Like, we were boxing one day, like I told you, she's come over there cursing us out.
Are things getting loud? Are the kids out of their rooms by now?
No, not yet. They haven't came out of their room yet.
Okay.
So, you know, she still going at me, whatever. She hit me with the glasses, and when she hit me with my glasses, you know, it kind of hurt. So, I feel like she was gonna like go for my face or whatever. Like I always taught her, if a man does something to you, you know, if you put your fingers in his eyes.
Yeah.
And you know, I just went like this, and I just hit her when she went back. And like I went to try to like, you know, it was just like a sudden move. It wasn't even like, you know, I sat there and positioned myself. No, it was just like a sudden, just, you know, fast thing. Because I went to try to like, you know, kind of like grab or push her or something. But, you know, I don't know, man. It was like a sudden thing, man, because it really hurt my face, you know?
Right.
Hitting me with the glasses like that. And that's what I wanted, that and hit her. And she just, and she fell back and everything, and all the where the two lamps are, there was a little round thing. If you sweep up that area, you should find little bits of glass everywhere in the floor, because there's still glass everywhere.
On the table?
Yeah, because there was a little round thing, and it had the Jesus birth statues.
Okay.
You ever seen the little statues, and then you got the three kings, and then you got the Virgin Mary, and then the little Jesus, and then you got
Like that nativity set kind of?
yeah, like that. And well, that all fell and broke. And it's just like, I heard it, I was kind of like, baby, and she was just like, her whole entire color was leaving, and her eyes were getting bigger, and her whole face started turning purple, and Tyshawn was like, what the fuck? I was like, yo, Tyshawn, she's dying, man. Yo, help me, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he was just there stuck. Like, he didn't know what to do. And then the kids came out because of the noise. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yo, take him to the room. Take him, bro. Move him, please. You know what I'm saying? Get him out of here. Because I didn't want them to see, you know. And then my daughter was like, Mommy, what's wrong with Mommy? What do you guys do to my mommy, you know? So I was like, yo, she's around. I said, no, Ty, she's dead, man. She's dead. He said, you lying. I said, Ty, she's dead, man. And then I heard my daughter was like, who's dead? Who's dead? Something like that. And then he just went back to the room with them. And then I was sitting there kissing her, and I was talking to her, and I heard the first clunk, gong! And then I heard something hit something hit the tub. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And when I went over there, as I was going over there, I heard the second clunk, and then that's when my kids was on the floor. One was in the tub, and one was in the floor. And I was like, what the fuck did you do? And I grabbed him, I threw him against his back, hit the door and the wall. And, you know, I grabbed him and I went to, you know, just do something to him, you know. And he was like, man, yo, I can't go back. I'm on probation. They saw us, man. They know we killed them, you know. And I was like, nobody fucking killed them, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you killed my kids, man. And I just grabbed my kids, and when I grabbed my son, grabbed him like this, I felt his head just like dance, like puzzle pieces, and his blood just hitting all over my clothes. I was like, Elijah, Elijah, Elijah. And he wouldn't respond at all. And then I heard my daughter, she was like, I want to grab this. I can't keep talking about it. I don't want to talk about it no more.
We don't have to talk about that part. Okay, because that's where you're having that issue.
Yeah, we can move on.
We can move on.
You know how bad I wanted to kill him. I really wanted to kill him. If anybody needs to die, it was him.
You want to talk about him? Now, you went over, he had the left hand, something in his left hand, or right hand?
It was in his right hand.
His right hand. And it was can you describe it, exactly how it looked?
And brown wooden handle, black tape on it, and it was rusted.
Very similar to the picture you drew, right?
Yes, exactly.
Did you draw that picture?
Yes. This part here is like a big club part. You can use it to try to hammer things or
Black tape on the bottom, you said?
black tape on it.
On the top? Okay. We can move on from that part. Then, cleanup started.
The part with your wife. Did you feel that you were in fear for your life?
It was really mostly like trying to show off me. I didn't want to hurt her. She's always hitting me. I always get hit by her. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. I was just tired of being a damn punching dog. Everybody gets tired of it. Everybody has. You like a pipe. You can only take so much pressure before it busts. I just wanted to get her off me. I said nothing. It happened all so fast, man. I'm telling you, man, see, when she gets like that, it's like a cat. It's like, rah. I don't like to argue. I don't like to fight. Cause she gets all this yelling and screaming. I just want to get away from it. I don't want to listen to it. I'm telling you, man, I didn't want to hurt my wife. I would never do that.
Just want to make sure that we're clear on something. When we talked about a little while ago, a few minutes ago, we talked about what happened in the bathroom with your children, and you said you didn't want to talk about that anymore. That specifically applies to just that aspect of the whole incident, correct?
Yeah, I just don't want to keep seeing them in my life. That's all I keep seeing. My wife's face.
You want me to move the pictures?
No, I want to remember them like this. I don't want to have that image in my head.
So after the incident in the bathroom with Tayshawn, I can imagine is it panic? How would you classify what your emotions are at this point?
There. Shock. I didn't know what to do. I was so scared, man. My family was hurt. He was just laughing earlier. I wanted to just pick up the phone and call 911 and see if somebody could help them, but they were already dead.
What did Tayshawn say?
He kept telling me to snap out of this shit.
he do it?
I don't know. He was scared. Probation. My wife was dead.
He showed no emotion.
Don't care. Not his family.
What happened after that?
Which point?
Now we have what's been done to your family's been done. What has to happen, or what's the next step?
Please get him to get where they at. And when you finally bury them, wherever they at, they don't deserve to be.
Whose idea was it to load him up inside the Honda?
That's yours.
Who got loaded up first?
My wife.
So, did you do that by yourself, or you said you and Tayshawn had to move her?
Yeah, that helped me.
Did you wrap her up in anything?
No. She wasn't bleeding at all. When we put her in the trunk, I realized that she had some blood in the inside of her nose.
Did you clean her up a little bit?
No, I just gave her kisses.
Did you stay with her while Tayshawn?
Yes, but he came back. He asked me where the bags were. I told him there was in the kitchen on top of over the sink.
Were you in the garage the whole time while he was in the house?
Yes, he had a rag in his hand.
I don't know what kind of color rag it was.
It's like an orange rag. He just kept everything. He was touching or moving. He was doing it with a rag.
It's pretty savvy for someone who's trying to. It looks like he's taking steps at this point to minimize himself or remove himself from the situation as far as leaving any kind of physical evidence, wouldn't you say?
Just like he did with the bottle. He moved the clothes and then waited till we got around the corner and then he threw the bottle out to the grass.
Which child did Tayshawn bring out first?
Eliza.
You said something before about a bag wrapped around his children's heads.
Yes.
Tayshawn did that.
Yes, he brought them out like that.
You brought out your son first.
Yes.
Placed him where?
In front of his mother. Where her feet were.
Did you kiss him goodbye?
I kissed him in the bathroom first. I didn't get to kiss him. He had a bag over his head.
And the purpose was that because of the blood.
Yes. So I put the blood in the car.
So then Tayshawn goes back and grabs your daughter,
Yes.
brings her out and places her where?
He had to tell me to move out the way. I gave my wife a bunch of kisses. The last kisses.
Is there anything else put in the car at that point?
He went back in the house and he came back out with the axe.
He closes the trunk at that point?
He put the axe on in between my wife and Talia.
So now that your family's in the trunk, the axe is in the trunk,
And he took the shovel and the rake, threw it in the back seat. And he grabbed my gloves, my heavy-duty gloves,
was the garage open or closed when this is happening?
closed.
He gets in the driver's seat
Yes.
and you stay behind.
No, I had some plastic from Lowe's that was where my spare tire is, there's a box there. It's a spare tire in the garage. Behind that, there was a bunch of plastic because when we did the curbing,
Okay.
I had got a bunch of plastic because it was gonna rain. So
To cover it.
to cover the curbing so it don't get wet. So when I was done with it, all that plastic was in there. So he took some of that plastic out and he placed it on the driver's seat all the way down to the mat, to the floor.
Is that because he had blood on him, or?
I don't know. He just did that and then he was like, I'll be back, man. He said, just make sure you clean all that up. Clean it real good. He said, we should burn it. I was like, nah, I ain't gonna burn my house, man.
What did you do now?
I went in the house. First thing I did was I grabbed the broom. I sat on the floor for a while. Just crying. I moved the two lamps and the table to the area rug in the first living room. I swept up all the glass and I threw it in the trash cans. I brought the trash can out and I picked it up with the dustpan and I threw it all in the garbage can. And then I went to the kitchen and I grabbed the bucket underneath that has the cleaning supplies. And I went back to the room. I sat in front of the bathroom door. And then I went back to the garage. And I grabbed my sweatpants and I put them over my shorts. And I put on my boots. And I went back into the house. And I laid towels down from the bedroom to the area rug in the hallway. And then I started grabbing the towels that were already in my bathroom. And I wiped down the blood that was on the floor first. And then I put it all in the basket. And then I wiped the walls down. And then we had 3 rugs that were in the bathroom. To step on while you're over the sink. I wrapped those up. I threw them in the bag too. I took it and put it in the garage. And then I got a second bag. And then I just wiped the walls down where I grabbed a stack of washcloths. And I wiped the walls down. And then I got a green scrub pad and I cleaned the tub in the shower. And I went and got the rainbow. I put a mix of mean green, pine salt because I ran out of it, and some other detergent inside the bottle, and I just used the rainbow and then.
Rainbow's like a steam cleaner, right?
No, it's not a steam cleaner.
What kind of cleaner is it?
A cleaner. And when I was done, I wrapped all that stuff up and I put a new shower curtain on. And that was it. And then I put everything in the garage. And it took me a long time to clean, and then I started taking out my clothes from the bags. And I just threw them back in the drawers. If you look like with my t-shirts, underwear, and socks, you see like they all like kind of like scrambled in there. They're not folded neat, you know. So
You recognize that?
Yes.
Is that some of the cleaner you used?
Yes.
Was that in the bathroom also?
Yes.
Now, this whole time that this is taking place, did you have any kind of communication with Tyshawn?
No. He told me not to call him.
Did you have his phone on him?
No.
But he did, just to be sure, he said that don't call him.
Yeah, don't call him.
You recognize that shoe?
Yes.
Is that yours?
Yes.
What about these shorts?
Yes, that's my shorts.
Were you wearing these shorts
Yes.
when?
I had them underneath my sweatpants.
In this second pair of basketball, is this two second pairs of basketball shorts?
Those are sweatpants.
They're sweatpants.
Those are the sweatpants you were wearing?
Yes.
And the Fila basketball shirt, we're not sure whose is that.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So Tayshawn comes back
Yes.
with
A couple hours.
a couple hours. Did he have any of the tools that he had taken with him?
No. Not even. He has a different set of clothes on too.
Different set of clothes on.
He had on like a black t-shirt and some basketball shorts.
And at the time this whole thing began, he was wearing a yellow
Black
jacket.
and yellow shirt. Some black faded jeans. And some Nike suits.
And he had blood on his clothes?
Yes, a lot.
A lot of blood.
Yes.
So he was gone a few hours. You were cleaning up for a few hours. He comes back in your wife's car. What happens then?
Then he asked me if I was done cleaning, and I told him no. So he asked me those bags, where the bags that I put the stuff in. So yeah, he grabbed those bags and then he left
Where did he put them in the car?
in the trunk.
Okay. Is it you mentioned something before, possibly about him washing the car. Did he wash it this time? Or did he wash it when he came back the second
The
time?
first time he came back.
So while you're loading up bags or telling him where the stuff is, he's washing the car.
He sprayed the car.
Sprayed the car.
He only used water, just a hose?
Yeah, just the hose.
And the car was dirty? Was it dirty before it left?
Just the tires.
Just the tires.
The
When you,
the tires were dirty.
would you consider it mud or sand or?
Yeah, it was like the same thing that was in the trunk.
Okay, you said it was like a reddish.
Like a reddish.
Okay.
Like a bright reddish. Kind of looked like clay.
Okay. And so I'm clear, you didn't ask him what he did with your family, did you?
Yeah, I asked him.
You did? What did he say?
I said, where'd you go? He said, it's best if you don't know.
So Tayshawn takes the garbage bags that have the remnants of what you used to clean the bathroom and other areas of the house, correct? He puts them in the trunk and he leaves again.
Yes.
What do you do at this point?
At this point, I just start putting, like my clothes away and things like that. Putting my sneaker boxes back up in the box. And, just putting my clothes back up on the rack in the closet.
Did they get knocked down or something?
No, because I had packed most of my stuff,
So how long do you think he was gone the second time, Tayshawn?
Maybe like another hour and a half, probably.
So not nearly as long as the first time.
No, the first time he was gone for a long time.
And when he came back again the first time, he had all of the tools, the gloves, that were not in the car anymore.
They were not there, not even the gloves.
So he comes back a second time. What happens then?
He was hosing the car down and he asked me those bags, what was in there. I said that's the stuff I used to clean. He said put them in the car, so we put them in the trunk or whatever. He put some in the trunk so he helped me, and then I went back in the house. And he said, I'll be back. I'm gonna go take care of this. I said, all right.
Okay.
And then he left, and I was in the house doing whatever I had to do. And then when he pulled up the second time, that's when he was like, oh, man, you're in the car. He's like, all right, well, let's go put it in Sanford. So I said, all right. So we drove up there to Sanford, and we took the back way,
1792? You didn't use the I-4 bridges, huh?
That's the Sanford Bridge, that's 1792. And then we drove all the way to 1792, and then we made a right out of the street where the college was, and then he told me to pull in there, park the car towards the back. I pulled the car, he kept going. That's when I got out and wiped the car, whatever, used the towel with the...
It's like a Panama Jack towel.
Yeah.
You use that?
It was a beach towel, full-size beach towel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went and I didn't know where he went. I didn't have no communication to call him, so I went walking. That's when I saw him pulling up across the street. Then we jumped in the car and then we drove off. And then when we was like halfway down, probably getting towards Lake Ray Boulevard, getting towards, I think that's 18 Towers, I'm not sure, 46.
Yeah.
He told me to turn around and the rubber piece.
This piece here?
Yes.
Now you recognize this piece, the black mat with a Honda Accord coming from
my wife's trunk.
the trunk.
That covers the whole trunk.
Yes. And then we went back and I took it out. I told him, I was like, you gonna get it? He said, no, I'm not touching anything. So I got out and I put it in the trunk. And then he said, all right, let's go. Let's bounce. So he made me turn towards where the projects were, which we were going down 1792. And he said, go through here because there's no cameras through here or nothing. And we went to the first dumpster, and then there was a guy staring at us. He was in the balcony, so he was like, nah, go the other way, let's find another dumpster over there. We went back to the other dumpster. He said, make sure you take off all your clothes too. Those are the clothes you have in the house. So he said, take them off and put them in there. So we started throwing them through the window. So I was like, you gonna get rid of the black piece? And I ain't touching, I ain't got no gloves. So I got out and I just grabbed it myself and I threw it in there.
Now, when you went and parked the car, did anyone see you?
This big black fat lady that lived like in the downstairs in the corner.
And that's at near the school?
Yes. We had found the dumpster we got that at. And then my pants was hanging off the dumpster thing, and then I was like, throw it in there. He said, I'm not going to touch it. So he used his water bottle and flipped it over. And then that's when we drove off. We waited till we got around the street, and then he threw the water bottle out.
How about when you guys parked the car
At the parking lot?
at the parking lot?
Well, I parked the car by myself. There was 3 bus drivers there.
And you're in the bus?
Yeah, but they know one was out.
Okay.
So they basically saw me. And then,
Did they say anything to you?
one bus driver left. And then there was 2 more bus drivers. And then when we came back the second time was when the bus driver turned on the car, the bus, to drive off. That's when I took out the black man. They let they all do. You could tell that they were moving and parked there.
So you were able to dump the bags before. The only thing left was the black mat, and then that's the last thing you guys dumped? Or did the black mat and the bags with the clothes and the cleaning product, was that all dumped at the same site?
No, that was dumped down the street. I think.
The bags and the cleaning product were
Yeah.
dumped down the street, and then the mat was a separate thing.
Yeah. Oh, and then, I forgot. He was driving the car towards 1792. I looked at her phone the last time, and then that's when I seen, all the text messages from Kevin. And I sent sorry text, and then I deleted all the everything
Who'd you send the I'm sorry text to?
to Kevin.
To Kevin?
Yes.
So then you guys come back to Deltona. You're in the Silver Saturn.
Yes.
Okay. You're driving. And Tayshawn tells you to take them home, drop them off?
No, he told me, he's just like, yo, you know, this is serious, so at the end of the day, you're like a forever in debt to me, you know? So, like, I understand, man, this is real serious, you know? And, he was like, just, you know, I'll be shot, knows we ain't got the paper right now, I'll be straight with 10 stacks, whatever, however, little by little, all of my shot, just make sure it's cash. And then he was like, well, drop me off at the 7-Eleven so nobody sees us together.
10 stacks is 10,000.
10,000.
Okay, which way did you come back? Did you come back 415?
415.
Okay, so you went down Celery?
No. We took
415 from the beginning, 1792 to 415?
No.
And 1792 to come all the way around. So you passed your house towards 7-Eleven?
Yeah, and then when we was driving back, since 92, coming back home, that was when he seen my rings or whatever, and he was like, you need to get rid of that shit. You know, and he was like, the best place to get rid of it is right over the bridge. So you go over the bridge, you store it over.
So you threw your wedding bands into St. John's River?
Yes.
Going eastbound?
Going
Towards home?
no,
Towards
going,
Deltona?
No, going towards
Sanford?
No, or another day he told me, I could take it to the flea market and get it melted down. That's what he said.
So he gave you two options. Well, he suggested two things. Take the flea market, melt down your rings, or truck them into the river.
He was like, you're going to need some cash. He was like, so just take the flea market. Or you could just dump them in the river. So it's the best spot to get rid of stuff.
So now you drop them off at this 7-Eleven. You come home. What happens when you come home?
I come home, went in, I went to lay down and go to sleep. I went towards my kids' room, smoked their clothes. Went back to my son's room, I smoked his clothes. I went to my wife and I smoked her pillow and lay down where she was laying down last and cried for some time. At the time, it was like 9:09 already, and I was late for work. So I just laid there holding the pillow a little longer. And then went into the shower, got dressed, and went to work.
And when you went to work,
I went to work, I went back, and
then the gas light came on.
gas light came on.
When you came back to the house, who was at the house?
Just me. Oh,
When
the
you came-
sheriff, Tyshawn, my mother.
Was she accusatory
Off rip.
or off the rip?
She said, where's Jesse? I was like, I don't know. That's when she started screaming and crying. She's like, what did you do to my daughter?
When you guys, so you stopped at, you dropped the car off, right? You stopped at the dumpster, where you put that stuff.
Yeah.
That was separate from that stuff, right?
Yeah, the cleaning products and I guess this box of goodies, if you want to call it, well, the clothes and everything, it's a separate dump, correct? Looks like there's a cardboard box here,
No, all of this was together.
Okay.
but not with the mat.
Yeah.
Then your other stop was the Rainbow,
The rainbow.
and that was where?
In Sanford.
Okay. Dumpster
Yeah, dumpster.
behind
Behind World War.
World Market. Okay. I can never remember World Market. And that's a big shopping center.
Yeah.
Only one dumpster there?
Yeah, only one dumpster. Well, I don't know, there might be a couple dumpsters, but that was the first
But it was right behind World Market.
Yeah.
Green, blue, green, closed or open?
One flipped open, one closed.
And you left it that way?
Yeah.
Or did you close it?
No, I left it that way.
Okay. And now that's the only thing that you put there?
No, I had some old bags in my trunk where I had a bunch of old stuff that was there. I was supposed to throw in the donation box.
Okay.
Who did?
Who removed it from the car and threw it in there?
Me.
Okay. He stayed in the car?
No, he wasn't with me at that time.
Yeah, you were by yourself.
That was when I was going to work.
Okay, so you left to go to work, and that's when you dumped all that stuff?
Yes.
I missed something. Nothing to do with the incident at the house. You're talking about dumping stuff that
Well, the cleaner.
The cleaner.
you did that by yourself.
Yeah.
How would he know? Let's say, how would Tayshaun know to point us in the direction where this stuff was? Because that's how we found
No,
it.
that's the stuff that he dumped. The cleaner was totally separate.
The cleaner's not part
The
of
cleaner
this.
was after I
okay.
dropped him off and stuff.
Okay. So there's
cleaner
more
was
pieces of
after
the
the
puzzle.
fact.
Yeah.
All right.
So he wouldn't know anything about the cleaner?
No, he didn't even know I used the cleaner.
Okay. Can you describe the cleaner to me?
Yeah, it's a black rainbow.
I don't know what a rainbow
But
is.
if you Google it, you can see it. It has like attachment, it has a hole.
So it's like a high
it costs-
suction vacuum or something like that?
Yeah, it costs like $3,000.
Okay. Shit. Must clean pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't-
What did you use to clean up with that?
The floors.
Okay, so there could be,
But that was after all the cleaning.
after you cleaned it, but there could still be blood or something like that in it maybe?
Probably.
Like the glass that was broken, you said, did you
Yeah.
suck that up? Okay.
Yes, that too.
You talked to Tayshaun after this? After you dropped him off? No contact, phone?
Contact.
When you said you called from the jail, is that true?
Yes, I called the house.
For,
I just wanted to see if anybody was there.
okay.
Because I just wanted to know what was going on.
The, leaving your wife's purse behind and all that kind of stuff, what was the idea behind that?
It was already in the car.
Okay.
It was already there. So I just didn't take it back.
And who's that in Seminole County?
Insurance.
Sounds like he knows a lot about the area in reference to where cameras are and aren't.
Yeah, because he drove me left this way, that way, don't turn this. When we went down some other street, I think it's with an F or something like that, he was like, there's cameras on this road, so turn off. So
F?
I think so.
Was it a main road? Like a main road with an F?
Yeah. I don't know Sanford at all, so.
Yeah.
So you were driving, he was directing you?
Yes.
That was after you dropped off
After we dropped off
the Honda.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys were in separate cars to drop off the Honda the first time,
Mm-hmm.
how did he give you direction on where to go before you left the house?
We pulled off on another road, and he was like, when I put on my blinkers, you pulled in there, and I want you to keep going, and then you park. He said, I'm going to take you out, you park the car towards the back.
So you were in front. Oh no, he was
No,
in
he
front.
was in front.
You followed him.
I followed him.
And you guys communicated.
A couple of times I got in front of him because of how the traffic was.
Okay. And you guys communicated via
Just signal.
the signals.
Yeah.
So
One time we pulled off on one road. I forgot what it was. I think it was 11th or something. He shot something.
And I know we talked about it a bit before, but as time has passed since we started talking, is there anything specifically that only he will know or put on him that can kind of turn that tide?
We'll probably catch him with like the bottle, you know?
Which one?
The bottle that he threw out around the corner.
Okay.
You can just tell him why didn't you take us to that when you took us to the dumpster right around the corner,
How close is that bottle?
like around the corner.
Okay.
I could take you to it because it probably could still be there. Hopefully, it might be.
Is there a way you can draw it out to show us
And I wouldn't know because I wouldn't see the
what
shit.
direction?
Yeah.
Well, if I give you an aerial map of that dumpster, would you be able to say he threw it out
If
here?
if it's like Google Maps, Earth.
You know what kind of bottle it
It
was?
was a clear water bottle.
No label.
Yeah, it had a label on it.
You remember what kind? What kind of top on it?
Just regular water bottle caps.
You know what size?
Yeah, it's just
Like a regular 16 ounce.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
And only he had that. You didn't have that at all. You didn't touch that.
You could ask him why did he say that he saw me the other day or something like that.
That was the story that he was supposed to stick to?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. What was the... somebody had to know that somebody's going to come looking for your family. The story that was supposed to be shared between you and Tayshia.
What I think was that because he saw me get arrested, and he don't know what I got arrested for, he probably freaked out. It's like, you know what, let me go say this first, so that way, I can cover my butt, Because you would have said that off rip when the first sheriff was there the first time.
Right.
She was talking to my wife's mother, So, then I guess when he started probably someone got in handcuffs, he was like, hold on, let me go ahead and make up my story and say it real fast before anything. Maybe he talked to his mom, and his mom, bred him into saying something because his mother's really slick with the law,
Okay.
So,
Did you guys bring anything to his house?
no, I never went to his house. I never even saw him go into his house. I just was wondering where he got, change of clothes from.
So he changed somewhere.
Yeah, he changed somewhere. But when he told me to take off all my clothes at the dumpster, it's probably like the same thing he did, for wherever he was at.
The cover story, I guess, for lack of a better term, was supposed to be you came home, they were gone.
Yeah, I was asleep because that people know I'll be sleeping sometimes in my car. My wife was driving, we go off, and I came in and they were gone.
What was his cover story supposed to be? That you
He
were
was
home?
supposed to have a cover story. He was just going to say that he saw me there, and that was it.
That he saw you in the car?
In the car. Yeah. Or that he saw me that night, and that was it.
One of the things I want to touch on before was, after you and your wife had that argument, did you leave the house and then come back?
Yes.
So, did you go to the cemetery
Yes.
and then come back? That's true.
Yes, I was just going to say came back.
What time was that?
I can't remember. It was getting really pretty dark.
And Tyshawn, when you got back, Tyshawn just happened to be outside.
No, he wasn't there yet. I was in the car sitting
Okay.
there, and then he came out.
Came out of his house, or
Yes, he came out of his house. So I saw him.
that early in the morning, he would do that?
He always coming out, hanging out, or whatever. He always do that.
And then you walked over to the car.
No, he looked at it, and I looked at it, and I was like, Ty? He was like, what you doing there? I guess he was probably letting out Mr. Biggs or something, because the dog sleep with him, so the dog has to go with the dog and somehow tell him.
Oh, okay. Mr. Biggs is the dog.
His little dog.
Yeah, and the dog loves me.
Where did Mr. Biggs go? When you asked him to play PlayStation, did he take Mr. Biggs back in his house, or
No.
Mr. Biggs was he at your house?
Oh, that dog roams around. Like right now, if you come, probably put in the neighborhood, the dog's roaming around.
He just walks the streets.
Yeah, walks the streets and then comes home and he's ready. Everybody knows that. He was trying to run in my house when the cops were there. The cops had to run him away. They don't even have a collar on him.
That's not good.
Yeah, he does what he wants. Posting people's trash.
I showed you, at some point during our conversation, I showed you this knife.
Yeah, I told you that. It's nothing to do with anything.
Don't do anything, that's your knife.
Yes.
You keep it in your car.
Well, I took it in my car because, that time my situation with my wife, I didn't want it, her to get a hold of it because that's why we don't have no guns in there, because if she gets upset, she's bound to shoot my ass.
Okay.
So that's why we don't allow no guns or firearms in the house because of that reason.
Okay. Did you ever have any guns in the house?
No, never.
Any ammunition in the house?
No, never.
Anything that you know of? Okay. You said she
Her
was
dad-
shooting.
the only guns we ever had was when her dad would come from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And then she was just shooting recently with Jackie and Larry because the cop asked me what was the target practices in the garage for us because we were cleaning out her car with her trunk. And she went shooting with Jackie and Larry. I do believe it's Jackie and Larry. She didn't want to tell me who she went shooting with, but there's only people that go shooting all the time.
Was there a cover on that? Or is that plain?
Yes, no, it's a cover. It's like a brown cover with the back of it says Guatemala.
What'd you do with it?
When I pulled in my neighborhood the first time that I seen the cops, I turned around I was gonna go to the house, and then I turned around, and I went back down the street, and I turned around and go back to the house, but before I got there, I just threw it out the street.
So you saw the deputies at the house before when you came back in the morning. You
Yeah.
wanted to get rid of the knife, and then you came back?
No, I saw them through the street.
Oh.
Through the street. When I was going through the street, I saw them.
So as you're going down Doyle, you seen him.
I seen them.
Looks like the knife's in the sheath there.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it together when you threw it out the window?
Yes, it was all together.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty big, right? Like,
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Last yesterday's conversation, you said it was from Guatemala?
Yeah, it's from Guatemala. I got it from my ex-coworker that came from Guatemala. I don't know how he got on the plane, but he said he got on the plane. So he checked it in through the bag.
we're gonna wind up talking to Ty.
Just tell him to please give up the location, man.
Well, I mean, you definitely want to help with that, correct?
Yes.
Do you think you can get him to tell you?
I don't know. I don't know how he's gonna act, you know?
What kind of relationship do you guys have?
It was just like, I don't know.
Just like neighbors, or
It's like
pretty
we
tight?
went to school.
Obviously, I don't want to run through this all again. We're not going to go through that. I don't think I can personally go through that again. Timeline-wise, though. Okay.
I'm not always accurate at the times. I mean, I can't be accurate at the times because not once I look at a watch unless one of those is getting ready to go to work.
Okay, so you left to go to work at
Like 9.
9.
9 something.
Okay. The first time you got home was about prior to you even going into the house with Ty.
Mention me Friday.
When you met with Ty, what time was that about?
It was, I'm trying to remember the time. I can't remember. It was pretty late though.
Pretty late?
Yeah.
Early morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember looking at a clock in the car
No.
or on the radio?
They don't work. The radio clock don't work.
Okay. How about when you guys were playing PlayStation? Or attempted to?
We didn't get to play PlayStation.
I'm just trying to get like a timeline so when we talk to him, we can try to call him out on the timeline.
With my wife, broke out quick, so.
Okay. How about when you first left the house? Or when he first left the house and you started cleaning? You know about what time that was? Okay. You had to guess.
I know
David.
during the time I was cleaning, he wasn't back yet. It was already like 5:30 something. He still wasn't back.
Okay. So that's the first time he left.
Yeah.
So it's about 5:30. He's gone
He still
with
wasn't
them, right?
Yeah, and he wasn't back yet, but he was already gone a couple hours.
Okay. So that puts us at what, 3:30 maybe? The first time he left?
Maybe around there, maybe even earlier than that.
Okay.
Maybe like 1 something, 2 around that time probably.
So at 5:30 he comes back, and then he leaves again with the,
Yes.
okay. And that time he had just cleaning stuff,
Yeah, just the clean stuff.
and he's gone for
Maybe like an hour.
hour,
Yeah,
so about 6:30,
probably around there around that time.
and that's when you guys left to drop the car off.
Flip the car off.
Do you remember, you said something about texting Kevin, I believe you said.
Yeah,
Do you remember looking at the phone what time that text was?
it was in the morning.
Okay. So after
Probably
6:30.
like 7, probably. So.
Okay. And that was on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What'd you do? Where'd that phone go?
That phone was left in my wife's purse.
Okay. And then you got back to the house. What time did you get back to the house with the deputies?
I don't even know what time it was. I know it was way after 9, maybe after 10. Around there.
I just want to try when he gives his timeline, you know?
Okay.
You need more water, you good?
No, I'm good. I'm not even allowed you cook. I don't think I can fix this thing, man.
If you don't think you can, we don't want to put you in that position. We're just looking for ideas, you know? If we find them, we want to be able to, you know, have you help. You good, Vanilla?
Yeah, I'm just really exhausted, man.
Okay.
Ready to rest.
You want to rest? Nice and warm in here. Hey, real quick, so, they're trying to find a dumpster, okay, at World Market. What else did you put in that dumpster? Was it just the, go ahead. The cleaning thing? The rainbow?
The cleaning thing, and I'm trying to remember some bags that I had in my trunk too.
Like garbage bags?
Yeah, that was, that had like some stuffed animals and blankets.
Okay. Blankets?
Yeah, I had some blankets.
Anything else?
I'm not sure.
Plastic or something like that from the seat? I remember you said there was plastic. What did we do with that?
Yeah, plastic. That was in there.
So that you threw in the dumpster?
Yeah, I think that was in there too.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, no, not the plastic from the seat, all the plastic that was in my trunk. Because I had a bunch of plastic in my trunk too.
What kind of plastic?
Like the same Lowe's plastic.
Okay.
Whatever was left over, I took.
You just emptied the trunk,
Yeah,
trunk
just
out?
emptied the trunk out. Yeah, my trunk.
What would you do with the plastic from the seat?
I don't know where that went. I think that went in probably one of the other bags.
Did you remove it or did Ty remove it?
No, he took that bag.
Okay. We're just trying to find it. Yeah. So if you want to get some rest here. You doing all right?
Just tired, I'm exhausted.
Keep on snapping, man. We got some food coming in case you want some, but
Yeah, we got some subs. You want like a turkey sandwich or something?
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Give you some water.
have lunch?
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry for the delay. You want a drink?
Get some water, please.
Yeah, Ty is here also. He's in the building. So, just talking to him about a couple of things. Obviously, I don't want to pit one against the other. He's going to minimize anything of his involvement. See what I'm saying? Is there any particular reason why, well, beyond the obvious reason, any other reasons why they can minimize?
Probably just to try to eliminate himself from the equation.
Okay. Figure as much.
I could talk to him there.
Yeah.
What he said.
He said that you're lying, and that he, only involvement he had with you was when you came over to his house. I asked him, I said, listen, did you see him in the morning?
Can you hear me?
No.
No.
He said that, you went over to his house to get him, and that he didn't, you said Ty came out, then you saw him in the yard, and you go, hey, what's up, and you contact like that. He said, no, that's not how it happened. And it was later in the morning than that. And then all he did was drive car.
For the shit. My family, man.
Sam, I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't care how we find them. If he tells us where they're
You're
at.
the only motherfucker that can give you my family, man. You son of a bitch! Give me my family!
He can't.
The only one. He's the only one that can tell you where they at, man.
Is there anything you can think of that maybe, jog your memory a little bit that can...
You ever gone on day trips over there with him? Where some of his family lives, or anything like that?
No, I've never gone nowhere but like parties, man. That's it.
Okay, how about let's start with there. Maybe those are some places we could start. Where in Sanford were the parties? Do you remember?
No, not in Sanford.
Not in Sanford, okay.
No. Like I drove him to like Deltona house parties and things like that.
What's some roads you know over in Sanford?
Just H.E. Thomas and Reinhardt, because I used to live at the Twin Lakes.
Okay.
And the kids go to school near there.
Across the street, really.
Yeah.
What about like Celery, Airport?
Well, yeah, there are two people from my church that live over there.
Where?
Celery.
On Celery?
Yeah, and then my wife's cousin lives off the airport.
Okay. Didn't Sin used to live off Airport too?
When I met Sin, he was only in Deltona when I met Sin. When I met Sin, Sin lived in a house across the street from where Gio lives now. Over there off of Page.
And just try to think if something very minor that when he came back you might be able to, I mean, it could be a little piece of the puzzle, man, that you might be able to slide into it and be like, okay, that leads us into, a good direction.
I asked him if I'm the one that did everything and he was this innocent person, why did he even, first of all, come with me if supposedly I just asked him to drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did he even ask where my wife was?
Did he ask where your wife was?
No, I'm saying, just ask him. He know that's my wife's car.
Right, yeah.
Did he ask why are we dropping your wife's car off somewhere?
Nope, he said he didn't ask you any questions at all. He just did you the favor because he thought you were going around the corner to drop something off.
And And if he just said he was doing me that favor, then why, when the cops were there at first, why didn't he tell them that? Hey, I just took his wife's car over there and dropped it off. Why didn't he say that?
Well, when the cops first went over there, he did say something, but it's after you left. He didn't want to say anything when you were there.
Doesn't make any sense.
Like you said before, maybe he wants to minimize his involvement and put it all on you. We talked about that before. We expected this to happen. That's why I was asking for the specifics.
And that's just the reason why we're asking you if you can think of it. The smallest thing that could maybe lead us to, you know, when he came back, something he said, something he did, something he smelled like, something he had on him, you know, just something that can put us in a particular area.
Yeah, he smelled like, well, the car, the dirt when he was rinsing off the dirt off the car, it smelled funny.
Like what?
Kind of like an algae smell.
Allergy smell. Okay. Have you ever associated that smell with something else before?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like when I went to Rock Springs,
Where's Rock Springs?
in a pocket.
Okay. It's kind of like that water, mud, kind of.
Type smell.
Okay. And again, you said he was gone for 2 hours, about?
No, he was gone for a couple hours.
Well, 2 hours, a couple hours, right?
Yeah.
So about 2 hours?
2, maybe 3 probably.
Does he know about Apopka area?
I don't know. Well, yeah, because he used to play football. When I told him I was out there with my football kids game one time, he was like,
So he went to this park as well?
yeah. Well, not
It's a
the park,
possibility.
but the field, you know, like that
Field?
field they built.
Is there a field connect? Is there like it's like a spring kind of? Do people go
Yeah.
swimming and stuff
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. It's also a camping area too.
Camping area?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the name of it?
Built Kelly Park, Rock Springs.
Kelly Park, Rock Springs. Now, when you pull off, what street is it off of?
You can either take 46 there.
Okay.
I think that's 46.
So it's actually west of I-4.
Yeah, if you get off on Sanford exit, you have to make a right.
Okay.
Instead of going to the mall,
Right.
you'll make a right and take that all the way down.
Okay.
You'll see the sign that said Pop, and you make that left and it'll take you right into front of the springs.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. So it's possible. Could have went down Doyle, 1792. Take that right to 46. 46. No? I'm just trying to time frame wise and.
I mean, when he first left, he could have took highway or whatever. When
Right,
he first
right.
left, I don't know which way he took.
Do you think that's a good place to start looking, maybe? I mean, since he's been there before, the odor,
I
the
don't know
smell.
if he's been there before.
I thought you said he played football there.
Yeah, he played football, but he
Okay.
told me, yeah, I know where that's at. So
Okay.
I don't know if he's actually been into the springs. I know he's been in that area before, but I don't know if he's been to the springs.
Do you know if it's a place where you can get a car in there?
You can get cars,
Okay.
RVs, everything in there.
Is it gated? Is there any?
I don't know if they get it, and I haven't been there since a long time.
And again, this would be around 3:30, 4, he'd leave. So we're looking around 4 a.m., right?
Probably three,
But-
probably like probably 3 something.
So 3 something to 4 something, because you figure how long of a ride is it to Top Pop? Maybe 20 minutes from there?
20 minutes.
Okay. And that's the only place you really remember that
Yeah.
musty,
The smell like
that
that.
smell, yeah?
Besides besides like the water area, like when you're crossing over the 417, crossing over that water area out there, like that. Sometimes you get
That kind of smell, like that dirty water smell? Okay. I'm just trying to think of, something, keys that you might have picked up on.
bring him in this room.
Because I know what you do.
Just bring him in this room. Please. You just need 5 seconds with him.
And what do you think that would accomplish? Do you think you'd be able to control yourself? I don't want to put anything more on you or on him, you know?
Just need 5 seconds with him. Please, Kurt. That's all I need.
Well, we're going to continue talking to him. You know, it's definitely not over. Trust me. The thing right now is to find them, man. Closure time now, you know?
I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to go back.
You don't want to help us continue to talk to him?
Yeah. Just can't ask the same questions over and over again.
Well, it's just a long process, man. You know, this is we're dealing with 2 different dynamics here, you know? We have you and him we have to talk to, and then we got to actually find out, you know, the middle and what actually happened, you know? You want to stay here and help us, or what do you want to do? Because he's here. We're talking to him. Do you think that's a good possibility to that park? I should start having someone look at that park. Yeah. Big park. Should I send a couple people out there? Yeah. You remember if he had mud or anything like that on his boots or sneakers?
I just seen when he came back. Came back with some. I didn't pay attention to my shoes. He had a slide or something out there.
Oh, okay.
Did they find my phone in his house?
No, they're still working on that. You know, that's key. That'll definitely help. You know. Anything else you can think we can turn at him?
I mean, before my wife got crazy, he did grab one of my PlayStation remotes.
Okay.
You can print that. Find his prints on it.
Did he do anything else in the house that would stand out that said he was in the house that night?
I don't know, because when he came, he had a rag in his hand, so he was probably wiping whatever he touched before. But I remember him touching the PlayStation remote because he put it back down, and I closed the wood.
Okay. This is what, in the bedroom?
Yeah.
And that's when you guys were trying to play? Prior to everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't have video, none at your house, right?
No.
Surveillance or anything like that?
No.
Weird chick walking on the street.
Just wandering around the office.
Recognize this?
Yeah, that's where you had on
That's what you hit on the second time.
the second time. Yeah,
Okay. Who's that?
just to sure.
Okay. Is this the person that is also your neighbor?
Yes,
Okay. And this is the person that you're saying is responsible for the death of your 2 children?
yes.
Do you recognize this?
A better shot. It looks familiar.
It looks familiar? Tell me how you think it looks familiar.
I'm not sure, but I think that's probably one of his own shoes.
His old shoes?
Yeah.
Elijah's?
No, Tyshawn's.
No, that shoe's that's a smaller shoe.
Oh no, that ain't Elijah's.
Given the fact that the pin is supposed to serve as content or context, you know what I'm saying? We put something as a scale, I guess. It's
Like a
reference.
Oh nah, Elijah don't own a pair of shoes like that.
Okay. Ty doesn't own a pair of shoes like that?
No, you can actually even their grandmother, you know, every pair of shoes they have, they don't own them, so it's not theirs.
Okay.
One thing he thinks we should look is at that park. He thinks that's a good possibility.
What park?
What's the name of it again?
Rock Spring Park?
Yeah.
In a pocket?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he thinks that might be a good possibility due to the odor and how familiar they both are of it. So
Just tell my boss if the shoe is no good.
Elijah was barefoot, he didn't even have no shoes on.
Yeah, I remember you told me that kids had pajamas or shorts.
Yes. Talia had shorts. He had shorts on too.
I'm kind of thinking about it. Maybe I misunderstood. Is that during this whole, after this whole thing happens ordeal, Ty was the one that drives your wife's car the whole time?
Yes.
Okay. You drive your silver car.
No. When the second time that he came, the time that he came back, so us to get rid of the car, he drove the silver car, and I was driving my wife's car.
Why the change?
I don't know.
Did someone, whose idea was it to change the order?
Well, it wasn't that day. It was just I asked him where was the Saturn. He said it was around the part over there.
No, yeah. Are you confused on that? I'm a little bit. The Saturn, pretty much everything revolves around your wife's Honda, right? Why? Who thinks it's necessary to move the Saturn from your driveway to another location?
The time moved it. I don't know. He just moved it. He asked where my keys were, and that was whenever we was moving he was gonna take the bodies out, so he put the car around the thing.
So before you even put the bodies in the Honda, he moves the silver Saturn.
No, before he drove off.
Before he drove off. Okay. So before. All right, I got you. And he thinks that it's best to move the car. Was the car in the way, the Saturn, where your wife's car couldn't get out?
Probably. I know he was just like, "Where's the keys to the Saturn?" But I always park it on the side where the basketball court is.
Yeah, 'cause
he moved it all the way around the block.
Yeah, two of the neighbors where the circle is.
Okay. In a cul-de-sac or whatever that is right there.
Cul-de-sac. And then when we was leaving, I didn't know where he put the car at, so that's why I took my wife's car and he jumped in the other car. I saw him cutting through the houses.
And that's
So
when
he-
you saw the neighbor. It said that they might have saw him.
Yeah, the neighbors were coming with a truck or something, or it was a company or something like that.
And he was walking towards
Yeah, it
the
was
car.
crossing over. Yeah. And they even slowed down too. They slowed down real slow. It was like a white pickup or something with like the logo on it.
What car were you driving when you dropped off the Rainbow at World Market?
The Saturn.
The Saturn.
Yeah. Because when I came back to the house and everything, that's when I realized that the rainbow was still there.
And that's after you dropped him off already at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, after I dropped him off at 7-Eleven.
Okay. What time is that?
It was probably like after 9.
After 9.
Yeah, after 9 that I left the house.
Did you have your phone on you at that time?
No, my phone was missing.
Did you have her phone on you at the time?
No, her phone was in her purse.
When did you text Kevin?
When we was on the way to drop the car off.
On the way to
Drop the
Lake
car
Mary,
to
Sanford area.
Yes,
Okay. What time do you think that was about?
around 7-ish, around there.
Okay. So, the Silver Saturn makes one trip over to Sanford, a joint trip with you driving the black Honda and Ty driving the Silver Saturn. Drop the car. Now you wipe it down because you're the last person that's in it.
Yes.
Okay. Come back in the Saturn. Ty gets dropped off near the 7-Eleven. You come home.
Mm-hmm.
There's some more things you should probably get rid of. Drive back to Lake Mary.
No, I took a shower and got dressed to go to work.
Okay. When do you drive back to Lake Mary and drop
When
the
I was
stuff
going
off?
to work.
Well, I thought you said you only made it to I-4 and then you had to turn around because you ran out of gas.
No. I turned around on the first part. That's what I told you the first time I turned around. But I turned around because I needed it. When I dropped off the rainbow and stuff, I realized I didn't have no gas, so I had to turn around and I left.
So okay, because I guess my misunderstanding was you said that you had driven.
Yeah,
I understood that you left.
When we talked the first time,
Right.
that's what I told you. But
So it's changed since the first time.
Yeah. I'm just being honest with you. I'm trying to tell you everything.
No, that makes more sense because again, I was looking at it in terms of you're telling us that there's 3 trips, 1 by actually 4 in a sense, 2 by Ty by himself, 1 with unfortunately your family, the second one with more cleaning stuff that he says okay I'll take care of,
Yeah.
the third one where you get rid of the car,
Right.
and now a 4th one where you
I'm going to work.
You went to work,
Yeah.
you made it all the way to Lake Mary, you dumped the stuff off, realized you don't have gas, and then you came home?
It's back to get the gas. Yeah.
All the way back to Deltona to get gas when you're already in Lake Mary.
Yeah, I had no money on me.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah, now I'm tracking. Now, and all this travel, there's only 2 ways out of, well, 3 ways out of Deltona. One is starting from the farthest east is 415. Okay, you know where that's at.
Yes.
2-lane road. The next one is I-4, go over the bridge there, and the third one is 1792. Did you at all use anything, that road 415?
No.
No, everything was either I-4
Mm-hmm.
or 1792.
Correct.
Okay. And there's no trackers on the Honda, as far as for like an OnStar. We talked about that before. Is that true? That there's nothing to track that vehicle OnStar wise or GPS wise?
No.
What about maybe using someone's phone to GPS?
Probably phone was on, so.
No, I'm talking about, do you know if someone said, hey, let's go to this place? You know what I'm saying? Let's go dump this here.
No, there was no communication on the phone.
Okay. How did her purse get into the car?
The purse was already in the car.
Okay. She left it in overnight?
Yeah, but she had her phone.
I thought the purse was in the kitchen.
No, the purse was in the kitchen.
No. If we asked yesterday about was anything missing, and you said her purse wasn't
purse. Yeah, I said her purse.
there. Okay. So did we misunderstand the context of that?
Yeah, well, she always
Because
keeps
the purse was in the car?
She always keeps her purse. She keeps her car key in there too.
So no one took the purse, put it in the car.
No, the purse was already in the car.
He keeps the car key in the purse, but the purse is in the car?
Well, because it's by switch, and the car won't lock if the key's in there.
Oh, I got you.
It's like, it's the new type. But she always
No.
Always use her personal car.
Her phone in her purse?
Well, yeah, when I took it out of the house, yeah, I put it in the purse.
Alright, so you took her phone, which is the white Samsung, right?
Yes,
Because you can't find your phone,
I can't find my phone.
but it was in your car, right?
No, my phone was in my car.
Okay.
And when I went back to the car, I asked Ty Ty asked me where's my phone. I said it should be in my car. I didn't tell him it was in my car. He asked me do I got my phone on me, and I said no, I don't have my phone. But I remember my phone being in my car. I'm not stupid. And then when I went back to the car, I seen that my batteries were there. So I'm like, he had to take my phone.
But the only access, or the only point in time he could have done that is when he moves the Saturn from the driveway
That's where I'm thinking that he took my phone.
to where he stages the car and then goes and gets it during the drive. Well, then he could have got it during the drive while you're driving the black car. He could have.
But you didn't notice it missing on the drive back?
No,
You didn't say, shit, where's my phone?
no,
Hey, you got
I
my
wasn't
phone?
even. My mind was gone, man. My phone wasn't even like my priority.
Isn't that when you texted Kevin, though?
From her phone,
From her
my
phone?
wife's phone.
So you left her purse and everything in the car, but when you left the car at the Publix parking lot, you kept the phone.
No, I didn't keep her phone. My phone was there.
Okay, that's right. You texted her. Got a lot of things moving, so I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping it all straight. Just trying to wrap her head around how to. If Ty's not going to cooperate, we need to figure out a way to find your family. So we're thinking of anything and everything. Do you think they're still in Volusia County? I mean, do you know any places Ty would go?
No, not in Volusia. He doesn't know nothing about Volusia.
Doesn't know much about Volusia. Okay. So we're pretty confident it's either, say, Seminole or Orange.
Yeah, one of the two.
I mean, this whole Rock Park thing, you think that's a good possibility?
That's probably a good possibility
Do you
too.
think that's the best possibility for us to go
That's
look?
why I've smoked stuff like that before, you know.
I mean, I'm sure there's more, or other
And plus,
places.
I remember now, he worked at the Infinity getting off that exit.
With Infinity Car Dealer?
Yeah, he
Okay.
worked at the Infinity dealership right there, so he'd get off on that road. But he knows that area because I never even knew that I could get to I-4 from that road back.
Right.
Until he showed me one day I was dropping him off at work. And he said he grew up in that area back there.
So he knows that area.
That area, yeah. That
He knows that
area.
park. You believe you smell the mold or fungus, whatever is in that algae
Yeah.
when he got out of the car. Do you remember smelling any of that in the car?
No, I remember smelling it like towards the trunk where the dirt was and stuff. Okay. But he was hosing it off.
Now, when he hosed it off, he just hosed the car off and what
The
else?
tires and the bottom of the car.
Okay. Any damage to the car or anything?
No.
Nothing you can remember?
Nothing. No damage on it.
When he was over, Ty was over at your house before this whole thing escalated to what it was. Did you offer him a drink? Did he smoke? Did he do anything inside your house? Did he leave any DNA, fingerprints, anything inside there?
I told him, he grabbed my PlayStation remote. That's all I did.
But has he grabbed that before? Has he played in your house before?
Before, yeah, but a long time ago. Me and my son, we play all the time. So,
Right. How about, did he touch, he didn't have any gloves on or anything inside the bathroom, did he?
well, but remember, he had that orange rag, so when he was walking around,
You still have the orange rag?
that's probably with all the stuff.
With what stuff? Which one?
The stuff that was done.
With the car mat? or?
No, probably with the stuff that he done.
The first run, where we don't know where he dumped everything. Well, second
The
run.
second one.
Coke?
Yeah.
And second run, he was back quick, right? So we don't think he went to the park
The second
for
run,
the second run?
he wasn't back that quick. He was gone for a while.
Do you think he could have went to the park
I don't know.
again?
I don't know.
And our main thing is we're trying to get to them before the bugs, the birds, everything else gets to them, you know? We want to do this as respectfully as we can, you know? But it's, Florida's not a good place for that. Anywhere else you can think of, or you think that's probably the best place?
That's hard to think of.
Some of that sand, that or dirt that's in the Honda. I haven't looked inside either of the cars. Is that same kind of type dirt inside the Silver Saturn?
It depends, because she does cheerleading at a field. So they're
Where's the
always,
field at?
the field is actually across the street from the middle school.
On the blank, which road?
1792.
Middle school, that's, okay. You know where the barn is?
Yeah, it's
13th Street?
right past the barn.
Right past the barn, more towards the lakefront or towards,
More towards going up, like say, like Lake Mary.
okay, towards Lake Mary.
And you see this field to the left side, they're always in the field, doing that and stuff. So they're always putting sand in our cars. Both our cars haven't been cleaned in a while.
Is that same type sand, the same, possibly same type sand that is found at Hollywood Park when you go and visit your folks? Do you ever get out of the car and walk around, maybe to
Hollywood Park.
what do they call it?
It's cemetery.
The cemetery. Is that what it's called? Hollywood Cemetery?
Probably it can be.
Okay.
You don't know about that place, does he?
No.
So,
No,
you don't
that's
think they'd be there?
Small little person spot there. That's everybody does.
Did you get out of the car and walk around last night or 2 nights ago when you were there?
I gotta go to the fence sometimes. Nobody's looking outside the fence real quick. I'm going to
Big fan?
no,
No.
small silver.
Is it a well-secured area? No? Okay. I've never been there, so.
Yeah, it's right behind, like you go down 1792, and then when you get to, I forgot what it's called, you see the company farms right there, like a fruit market or whatever. You just make a left. When you go up to the end, you make another left, and so it's to the right.
Do you think, your personal opinion here, that, let's say, Hollywood Park or Hollywood Cemetery with a park, okay? Which we're starting focusing on the park because of the smell and all that stuff, okay? How far off the beaten path do you think it would be?
I don't know. But
I mean, it's a big park, right? I've never been there though. I mean, where do you
I
think
don't
you'd
even
be?
know if the cars even have access at night.
Right.
I mean, I've never been there at night, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I know it's a camping ground too. Usually camping grounds are open.
Can you get to the water? I mean, can you get to somewhere where you get that odor?
There's another spot that he's been to.
Okay, where's that?
that he knows good is high banks, the back part of high banks.
And you're buried?
Hanging out with,
The back part right there.
Like, how would you get there?
You can just go up 1792, make a left on high banks, and go all the way back there. And he's been back there. He has a lot of friends that have parties back there.
Towards the marina? Go to St. John's area?
Yeah, all the way back there. Yeah. Just on high banks. And she also, and I smelled that before too, because her boss, Mike Ferrante, has a trailer back there.
Okay.
So, way back there, we've been back there before. The guy that talked to me that came out on the job talked to me.
Okay. Well, the car's nothing, the Honda's nothing special, right? So it has to be, the terrain it can traverse on has to be something that's solid.
You know, the Honda can pretty much move.
It can?
Yeah, it has good traction and all that.
Okay.
If you had to go right now and look, where would you go? Where would you start? Because I want to find it.
Starting in the area.
High Banks.
Popka.
High Banks or Apopka?
Yeah.
What do you think is my best possibility of finding them? Probability of finding them?
Probably a Popka.
Apopka?
Yeah.
More than High Banks?
Yeah, more than high banks. That's the area I smoked that before the street.
Is that a big park there in Apopka?
Yeah.
Probably pretty big.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
In any specific part of the park? If it's that big of a park?
It's a springs. Everybody goes there to swim. It's kind of like Wakaiva Springs. Or St. Blue Springs. I'm gonna lay down, Kurt. My head is
Tired?
My head is exhausted.
You need some more time to put your head down. Put your head down, bro.
It's killing me, man.
Well, on the ground? On the ground.
That's fine. I'll be okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Pagliari, before we started the interview on Thursday, we talked about that some edits had been made to the recording. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That there were long breaks in this particular recording that had to be edited out for time purposes, right?
Yes, sir.
During those breaks, did you go over into the next room and interview Tyshawn Jackson?
Yes, sir, I did.
And during your interview with Tyshawn Jackson, did he admit to any of the things that the defendant said he did?
No, sir.
Did he seem to know anything about the events occurring before 6/11 that morning at the defendant's house?
No, sir.
And were his statements generally consistent during the course of his interview?
Yes, sir.
Now, I'd like to talk with you about some of the inconsistencies in the defendant's statements up to this point. Did there seem to be a discrepancy about the trunk mat and who retrieved it, how it was thrown away, that kind of thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you explain that to us?
During the interview on the 24th, Toledo said that he was the one, he being Toledo, that had to go back and get the mat. In that same interview, he later changed his story and said that it was Tyshawn Jackson who said that they needed to go back and get the trunk mat.
Now, in this version of events that he's telling you, he actually says that they pull away from the Publix and then return to get the trunk mat. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that consistent at all with what Tyshawn Jackson told you?
No, sir.
Were there also some inconsistencies about how the defendant encountered Tyshawn Jackson, when, where, how that encounter occurred?
Yes, sir.
Could you talk with us about those, please?
He said on the 23rd, Toledo, that he saw Tyshawn Jackson at 9 p.m. and then 1 a.m. On the 24th, he said that,
Hold on, before we move on the 23rd, he said specifically 9 p.m. and 1 a.m.
yes, sir.
Okay. And he was questioned directly about 3 a.m., was he not?
Yes, sir.
And he denied the 3 a.m., right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what did he say on the 24th?
On the 24th, Toledo said that at 3 a.m., he was home, Toledo in the driveway, and that Tyshawn Jackson pulled up into his own driveway. Then he said that he was in the driveway, Toledo, and that Tyshawn Jackson came out from his house. Then he said that Tyshawn Jackson came out from his house with a flashlight. Then he said Tyshawn Jackson came out and Mr. Biggs was out.
And did he ever maintain any of those details more than once during the many interviews that he gave to you?
No, sir.
So each time he talked about Ty, the details changed.
A little bit.
Now, earlier in the trial, we heard from Chris Lasanta. Do you know who Chris Lasanta is?
Yes, sir.
Did you have an opportunity to interview Chris Lasanta during the course of your investigation?
Yes, sir.
You're aware that Chris Lasanta is the defendant's brother.
Yes, sir.
On October 23rd and October 24th, when you interviewed this defendant, did he mention anything about contact he had had with his brother during the period of 10/22 or 10/23?
No, sir.
When you spoke with the brother, did you learn through your encounter with the brother that
Allow him to ask a question. Ask a question, please.
did you learn through your encounter with the brother that he had in fact seen the defendant?
Okay, sustain.
Did you speak to the brother?
Chris Lasanta?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
When was the first time that law enforcement spoke to Chris Lasanta?
October 24th.
Did you learn things, or did law enforcement learn things during the course of that interview about the defendant?
Yes, sir.
And did you confront the defendant with some of that information?
This will be overruled.
Did you confront the defendant with some of that information on October 25th when you encountered the defendant again?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, we've watched October 23rd and October 24th. Tell us where your contact with the defendant took place on October 25th.
On October 25th, I interviewed Louis Toledo at the Volusia County Branch Jail.
Now, when you interviewed him at the Volusia County Branch Jail, could you give us an idea of the setting?
It was an interview room that they have there at the jail.
Do they have the ability to record within the interview rooms?
No, sir.
They don't have video or audio recording?
No, sir.
Did you record this interview in some fashion?
Yes, sir, I did.
And in what way did you record the interview?
With an audio recorder?
And have you had an opportunity to review that recording prior to testifying here today?
Yes, sir.
And was that interview transcribed at one point as well?
Yes, sir.
And have you reviewed the transcript?
Yes, sir.
Do you find the transcript to be substantially similar to the interview that occurred in your recollection and also on the recording?
Yes, sir.
Now, as it relates to the conversation you had with Mr. Toledo on October 25th, what did he tell you about his brother when confronted with that information?
Toledo said that he had visited his brother after he had dropped off Tyshawn Jackson back in Deltona.
Could you give us a little bit better time frame, please?
Tyshawn Jackson was seen on a video in Deltona at a convenience store at around 8:08 in the morning. Toledo says that he went and visited his brother, Chris Lasanta, who lives over in Sanford, sometime after 8:08.
Walk us through the events and the details that he gave you as it relates to that encounter with his brother.
He said he went to his brother's house prior to 8:08. After 8:08.
So he drops Ty. Where does he go after he drops Tyshawn?
Goes to Chris Lasanta's house.
Okay.
While talking to Lasanta says that he couldn't get involved, that
Sustain.
that,
Sustained.
Yeah, without
Ask the
telling
question.
us what Mr. Lasanta told you, what did the defendant say about this encounter?
the
Right.
defendant was telling me what his brother told him.
Okay, well, without repeating what Lasanta told him, please tell us the rest of the account.
That he left his brother's house?
Tell us what he did, not what he told you his brother said.
Right. He has an encounter with the brother. He left the brother's house. Toledo did. Toledo drove back across, back to Volusia County. He took his clothes off that he was wearing. He threw them off of the bridge of 1792, and he came home.
And how did that occur, that he threw his clothes off the bridge? Did he give any greater detail?
No, sir.
Did he talk about what he rode home in?
In the Saturn? Yes, sir.
As far as clothing?
I think it was a black shirt and gray pants.
And those are the clothes that he threw off the bridge?
Yes, sir.
After he threw those clothes off the bridge, what was he wearing?
I think he was wearing his boxer shorts.
And all of this is after the time at which he drops Tyshawn Jackson, right?
Yes, sir.
So presumably it takes some time to go from the 7-Eleven back to Seminole County where his brother lives. There's a conversation, and then he drives back to Deltona.
Yes, sir.
And on the way back to Deltona is when he throws his clothes off the bridge.
Yes, sir.
After throwing his clothes off of the bridge, what does he do? Walk us through that.
He said he came home, that he cleaned himself up.
Did he give you an approximate time at which he arrived?
No, sir. Not that I can recall.
Okay. Go ahead.
Cleaned himself up, changed clothes again, and then drove back over to Sanford to go to work.
Now, he didn't first tell you about his brother on October 23rd or even October 24th, is that correct?
That's correct.
What was it that caused him to tell you about his brother the first time on October 25th?
The fact that his brother had talked to us on October 24th and provided a timeline.
And you confronted him with that timeline?
Toledo? Yes, sir.
Judge, can we approach for a scheduling matter real quick?
Yes, sir. Clock, okay? Remind you not to speak about the case and don't read anything about it or do any research.
All right.
Okay, the jury's out. Go ahead and remove Mr. Toledo.